Ben lived alone on the edge of Mars Colony 4. His small dome-shaped home sat near the rocky hills where no one else liked to live. Most people in the colony stayed close to the main city hub, where the air was warmer and the food was fresh, but Ben liked the silence. He fixed machines for work and watched the stars at night for peace. One night, while staring through his old telescope, Ben noticed a strange light flash across the sky. It wasn't a meteor. It moved slowly. Then it disappeared behind them. Hills in the distance. He sat up. That wasn't normal, he whispered. Ben grabbed his jacket, oxygen mask, and flashlight. He locked the dome and started walking toward the crash site. The cold Mars wind blew around him, but he moved quickly. After 20 minutes, he saw it something half buried in the red sand. Smoke rising from it. It was a pod, small and round, with silver plates and glowing blue lines. Definitely not human tech. He looked around. No drones, no patrols. He stepped closer and saw a broken door hanging open. Inside, he saw her. A figure was slumped against the wall, slender, with smooth silver skin and long white hair. Her eyes were closed. She looked almost human, but her arms were longer, and faint glowing lines ran down her neck. Her body was shaking, and she was breathing hard. Ben's heart raced. "Are you okay?" he asked softly, even though he knew she might not understand. The alien woman opened her eyes just a little. They were bright, like stars. She tried to speak, but no sound came out. Her hand reached forward slowly, then fell. Ben knew he should report this. The colony laws were clear. All alien life must be reported to the central station. But something about her face, weak, tired, and alone, made him pause. "I can't leave you here," he muttered. He carefully pulled her out of the pod. She was light, like she had no weight. He wrapped her in his jacket and began the walk home. Back in his dome, Ben laid her gently on his sleeping mat. He turned up the heat and gave her some filtered water. She drank weakly, her eyes half open. She whispered something in a soft, musical voice. He didn't understand the words, but the tone was peaceful. Ben stared at her glowing lines. They pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. As she rested, the glow faded. He wondered if that meant she was getting worse. The next morning, Ben sat beside her, watching. She hadn't moved much during the night, but her breathing was steady now. He gave her more water and some protein gel. To his surprise, she took it and even tried to smile. "Okay," Ben said. "You're alive. That's a good start." She spoke again, just one word this time. It sounded like Ray. "Ray," Ben repeated. She blinked once, as if saying yes. "All right, I guess that's your name." She blinked again. Over the next few days, Ben helped Ray recover. He hid her from the colony patrols and told no one about her. He used his spare tech to scan her health and patch her wounds. She couldn't speak much, but she listened. She learned a few simple Earth words: water, food, safe, and she smiled every time she said them. Ben noticed that the more she smiled, the brighter her skin became. Her glowing lines started to shine softly, especially when he helped her or spoke kindly. He started talking to her more, even when she couldn't answer. "I don't know who you are, Ray," he said one night, "but you're not just any alien. You've got something special." She looked at him, then gently touched his arm. On the 6th day, Ray stood up for the first time. She was still weak, but she moved with grace. Ben helped her walk around the dome. She touched his tools and stared at the pictures on his walls, photos of Earth, trees, oceans, cities. She pointed at one image, a photo of a beach with blue waves. "Home?" she asked. Ben shook his head. "Not anymore. I left Earth years ago. This is home now." Ray looked sad, then nodded slowly. She placed her hand on her chest. "No home," she whispered. Ben understood. "You don't have one either, do you?" She nodded again. At that moment, something changed between them. They were both alone in their own way, different, but the same. To lost lives, finding each other in the quiet of Mars. That night, Ben stood outside, looking at the stars. Ray stepped beside him, her silver skin glowing gently in the dark. "Thank you," she said. Clearly and slowly, Ben turned in surprise. "You said that pretty well," Ray smiled. Her glow grew warmer. Then she looked at him and said softly, "Life bond." Ben blinked. "What does that mean?" But Ray only smiled again, her eyes bright with light. He didn't understand the words yet, but he felt something stir inside. Maybe this wasn't just an act of kindness anymore. Maybe something much bigger had started the night her pod fell from the sky. Ray was getting stronger each day. Ben watched her as she walked around the dome, her steps more steady, her breathing calm. The soft light in her skin was no longer faint. It pulsed gently, like the slow rhythm of a song. She didn't speak much yet, but her eyes followed everything. She was curious. She wanted to learn. Ben had cleared a small corner for her with cushions, blankets, and books. He also gave her a screen tablet. At first, she only tapped it with her fingers, confused by Earth symbols. But soon, she began reading simple words. Ben taught her one by one, like teaching a child. And Ray learned fast. One evening, while Ben was fixing a broken drill, Ray sat beside him. Her glowing fingers traced the air as she spoke carefully. "Earth. Cold or warm?" Ben smiled. "Both. Depends where you are. I grew up where it was warm. Beaches. Sunlight. Sand." Ray closed her eyes, as if trying to imagine. "Warm. Like this," she said, placing her hand on Ben's arm. Her skin was soft, and her glow brightened at the touch. Ben felt it, not heat, but something else. Comfort. Safety. He looked at her. "You really are something," he said quietly. Ray tilted her head, then smiled. Later that night, Ben checked the outside monitors. Drones had flown past earlier, closer than before. The colony was expanding, and security was tighter. He knew if anyone found Ray, she would be taken away. He didn't trust the Central Council. They didn't welcome anything strange. They feared what they didn't understand. He turned to see Ray watching him from across the room. "Danger?" she asked. Ben hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, if they find you, they'll take you." She didn't panic. She walked over and placed her hand over her heart. "Safe with you?" Ben felt a strange mix of pride and worry. "I'll keep you safe, I promise." Over the next few days, Ray's powers began to show. It started with small things. When Ben got a cut on his hand, Ray touched it. Within seconds, the wound closed. Her light flared brighter for a moment, then dimmed again. She looked tired afterward, but smiled anyway. Ben was stunned. "How did you do that?" Ray looked unsure. "Energy inside. I give. It helps." From then on, Ben noticed more. Plants in his dome grew faster where Ray sat. Broken tools worked after she touched them. Even the air felt warmer when she was nearby. "Your glow. It's tied to healing." Ben asked one day. Ray nodded. "My kind. We shine with life. When happy, bright. When sad, dark." Ben thought about that. He remembered how faint her light had been when he found her. Almost gone. "Does it hurt you?" he asked. She looked down. "Only if too much. But small, safe, still." Ben became careful. He didn't want her to use her power too often. He didn't want her to lose her strength again. One afternoon, while Ben was outside checking the solar panels, Ray stayed inside reading. She had learned more words now. She even started writing simple sentences. When Ben returned, he found a note on the table in careful, uneven handwriting. "I feel light inside. You make it bright." Ben read it twice. A warm feeling spread through his chest. He looked over at Ray, who was watching him with a small smile. "You wrote this?" She nodded. "It's good. It's more than good," Ben said. Her skin lit up gently, like a soft lantern in the dark. That night, something strange happened. A small tremor shook the ground. Drayer for Mars, one of the energy storage tanks near. The dome cracked and began to leak gas. The alarm rang, and Ben rushed to shut off the system. But the gas was flammable, and the risk was high. Ray followed him, her light bright and quick. "Stay back," Ben shouted, trying to fix the pipe. But Ray moved beside him and placed both hands on the tank. Her glow burst into a bright golden light, pulsing fast. Within seconds, the leak sealed itself. The metal bent as if melted and Ray shaped. The gas stopped. Ben stared in shock. You fixed it? Ray looked dizzy but nodded. Energy. Controls matter. If soft, I shape. Ben helped her back inside. She was pale, her light dim again. You didn't have to risk yourself, he said. You saved me. Ray whispered, I save you. He couldn't argue with that dot as days passed. Their bond grew stronger. Ray started wearing clothes Ben made for her, simple fabric stitched together from old supplies. She tried cooking earth food, though it didn't go well. The first time she made soup, it turned into jelly. They both laughed for a long time. She learned emotions, too. Sad, happy, curious, tired. She spoke more clearly every day. One evening, as they watched the stars through the domed ceiling window, Ray spoke softly. You gave me home. Now I give you my light. Ben looked at her. What does that mean? In my world, Ray said. When one gives shelter and heart. We share light. It is the bond. A bond, Ben repeated. She nodded. Not just mate, more. Two lights, one path. Ben didn't know what to say. It felt too big, too fast. But something deep inside him didn't want to say no. Instead, he asked, Is this what you meant when you said life bond before? Ray smiled. Yes, life bond is gift. I give because I choose. Ben looked into her glowing eyes. I don't understand it all, Ray, but I don't want you to go. Not now, not ever. Her light glowed bright and warm, but as peaceful as there. Days were. Ben knew trouble was close. The colony had been scanning for unusual energy signals. And Ray, with her strange light and growing power, was no longer hiding in the shadows. Ben had a bad feeling. Something was coming. And this time, it might take more than light to survive. The days were quiet, but Ben didn't feel safe. He noticed the colony patrols flying closer to his area. Small scout drones passed above his dome almost every evening. They were scanning for something, maybe energy, maybe life signs. And Ray was glowing brighter with every passing day. He kept telling himself they would be fine. But deep inside, he knew the truth. They were being watched. That morning, Ben was working outside, checking the oxygen filters, when a sharp beep came from his wrist device. Alert! Unauthorized energy detected nearby. Source: unknown. Report to Colony Central. Ben's heart dropped. He ran inside. Ray stood in the center of the dome, looking confused. Her hands were glowing softly, and small sparks of golden light floated around her. They faded quickly as he entered. What were you doing? He asked, a little too loud. Ray blinked, fixing the air to dry. I changed small part. Ben took a deep breath. Ray, you can't use your energy like that, not now. The colony has scanners. They're picking it up. She looked down, ashamed. I didn't know. I just wanted to help. He felt bad for her. Raising his voice, he placed a hand on her shoulder. I know you meant well, but if they find you, they won't ask questions. They'll take you away. Ray nodded slowly. I will be careful. That night, Ben turned off all non-essential systems. No lights, no heat panels. He even blocked the windows. The dome went dark except for the soft golden glow coming from Ray. She sat silently, staring at the stars through the ceiling. They don't want me here, do they? She asked. Ben sat beside her. It's not about what they want. It's about what they fear. Because I'm different. Because they don't understand you. People fear what they don't know. Ray touched her chest. I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want to stay. With you, you will, Ben said. I'll protect you. But we need to be careful. She nodded again, then added quietly, if they come, I won't run. I'll protect you too. 3 days passed without any trouble. Ben relaxed a little, though he still kept Ray inside. She spent her time learning Earth languages and studying human behavior. She even started copying some of Ben's habits, like drinking tea or humming while working. But on the 4th night, something happened. Ben was asleep when the security alarm flashed red. A motion sensor had picked up something just outside the dome. He jumped up and grabbed his small monitor. The screen showed a dark figure walking around the side of the dome with a flashlight. Not a drone. A person, Ben whispered. Ray, Hide, Ray. Didn't argue. She slipped behind the storage wall and turned off her light. Total silence. Ben opened the door and stepped out. The man outside was wearing a colony jacket. He was short, older, with a scanner in his hand. Evening, Ben said calmly. The man nodded. Sorry to bother. Got some strange energy signals from this sector. Just checking all domes in the area. Ben kept his voice steady. Everything's fine here. My old generator sometimes gives off weird signals. I've been meaning to replace it. The man glanced at the dome, then at his scanner. You sure there's nothing unusual inside? Positive, Ben said. Just me and my machines. The men looked at him for a long moment, then finally nodded. All right, stay safe. Ben watched him leave. His hands were shaking. That was too close. After the patrol was gone, Ray came out of hiding. You lied, she said softly. Ben nodded. Yes, to protect you. She looked sad. I don't like hiding. I don't like lying either. But right now, we don't have a choice. Ray looked out the window. They'll come again. I can feel it. Ben knew she was right. The next day, Ben got an idea. He went to work building a small shield system, a jammer that would block weak scanners from reading signals inside the dome. It wasn't perfect, but it might give them more time. While he worked, Ray helped silently. Her hands moved with skill, and her glow stayed dim. She no longer looked like a stranger to him. She was part of this place now, part of his life. Later, Ray asked Ben something he didn't expect. What is fear like for humans? Ben paused. It's heavy. It makes your chest feel tight. It makes you freeze or run. Ray thought for a moment. My people felt fear, too. But we learned to shine through it. Shine, yes. Light is born from fear, if you choose hope. Ben looked at her glowing hands. That's beautiful. She smiled. You helped me shine. That evening, another drone passed overhead. It hovered longer this time. Ben and Ray stayed low, not moving. The jammer worked. No alert came from the colony, but the pressure was rising. They couldn't hide forever. Ben made a decision. We need a backup plan. If things get worse, we'll head for the caves. There's a tunnel system east of here. No scanners work down there. Ray nodded. If we must run, we run together. Always. Just before bedtime, Ray sat near Ben's desk. She had drawn something on his old paper pad, a symbol made of circles and stars. What's this? Ben asked. She pointed. My people sign for unity. Two lights join. One future. Ben stared at it. It looked simple, but it felt powerful. She handed it to him. It is for you. Ben smiled. Thank you. Ray's glow grew warm and bright. But outside, deep in the colony headquarters, the chief technician reviewed the last drone scans. Something was wrong. Energy signals near Ben's dome weren't natural. Prepare a team, the technician said. We're sending someone out tomorrow. Ben woke up slowly to soft golden light filling his small dome. Ray sat nearby, her glowing skin brighter than usual. She smiled gently as if waiting for him. Good morning, she said softly, her voice calm. Ben rubbed his eyes. Morning, Ray. You're glowing again. She laughed quietly, the sound light like wind through leaves. It is happiness? Ben smiled. Why are you happy today, Ray? Look thoughtful. Because I understand. Ben blinked. Understand what? Ray moved closer. The bond between us. The life bond. Ben remembered the strange word she said before. It sounded important, but he still did not know what it meant. Explain. He said. Ray took a deep breath. On my homeworld, when two beings save each other's life, they form a life bond. It means they are connected forever, not just in body, but in spirit and heart. Ben's eyes widened. Forever? That sounds serious. Yes, Ray nodded. It is serious. It is a promise. Ben sat back, thinking hard. So, when you call me your mate, you mean this bond? Ray smiled. Yes, mate is one word. Life bond is more. It means we are linked. You save me, I save you. Ben looked at her glowing hands. I don't know much about your world, but this bond, it feels real. Ray reached out and took his hand. Her skin was warm and bright. It is real. I want you to know that I choose this. Ben squeezed her hand gently. I don't know if I'm ready for something like that. That is okay. Ray said softly, it takes time. They sat together, hands joined, quiet in the warm glow of dawn. Over the next days, Ben tried to learn more about Ray's culture. She told him stories about her people, how they lived in harmony with light and energy, how their cities floated on glowing rivers, and how their bonds shaped their society. One evening, she showed him drawings of her homeworld. It was beautiful, full of color and life, very different from the red desert of Mars. I miss this place, she said sadly. Ben nodded. I understand missing home, but maybe you can make a new home here. Ray smiled, her light flickering like a candle. Maybe, with you. Ben felt his heart warm. The strange word mate no longer sounded strange. It sounded hopeful. But the life bond was not only about feelings. It had power. One night, as they sat watching the stars, Ray's light grew very bright. She closed her eyes and whispered softly. Ben felt a sudden calm wash over him. His worries about the colony, the patrols, the drones all faded away. Your bond, it protects me, he asked. Ray nodded. Yes, life bond shares strength. When we are linked, pain and fear become lighter. Ben smiled in relief. I could use that. Ray laughed softly. We both can. As they grew closer, Ray also began to learn more about humans. She watched how Ben repaired machines with patience and care. She noticed how he talked to plants outside, even when they did not respond. Why do you talk to plants? She asked one day. Ben smiled. I don't know. Maybe because they are alive, too. Maybe because I feel less alone when I do. Ray looked thoughtful. Your people have many ways to connect. I like that. Ben looked at her glowing eyes. And your people connect with light. She nodded. Yes? Light is language. One afternoon, while Ben was out gathering supplies, Ray found a small mirror and looked at herself. She touched her glowing skin. Watching it pulse softly, she smiled. Then she whispered, I am radiant. She touched her chest and said the word mate quietly. Ray thought about what it meant to be here. With Ben, a stranger in a new world, but no longer alone. Her heart and her light felt full, but their quiet time was not to last. One evening, as Ben returned home, he found the dome door open. Inside, some of his tools were missing. Ray was nowhere to be seen. Panic gripped him. He searched every corner, calling her name. Ray. Where are you? A soft voice answered from outside. Ben. He rushed out and saw Ray sitting near the edge of the settlement, her light dim and flickering. Why did you leave? He asked, worried. Ray looked at him with sad eyes. I wanted to see the stars. I wanted to be free. Ben knelt beside her. You're not free if you're alone. You have a home here with me. Ray nodded slowly. I forget sometimes, but now I remember. She reached for his hand again. The glow returned stronger than before. Ben understood then that the life bond was more than just a word. It was a connection of trust, of hope, and of two lives shining together in the dark. And no matter what the future held, they would face it as one. Ben and Ray's life was changing. The bond between them grew strong every day, shining softly like a beacon in the quiet dome. They had found hope in each other, a new kind of family on a distant world. But the colony was not ready to accept what they had. One bright morning, Ben was working outside, repairing a broken solar panel. The sun cast long shadows on the red ground, and the air was cool and clear. From the corner of his eye, Ben saw a figure watching from the path that led to his dome. It was Mara, his neighbor, a sharp woman with curious eyes and a voice that carried easily. Ben, she called out, stepping closer. I need to talk. Ben wiped sweat from his forehead. What is it, Mara? She looked around nervously. I saw something last night. Ben's heart skipped. What did you see? Mara took a deep breath. I saw light glowing inside your dome. Not like fire or electricity. It was alive. Ben felt his throat tighten. Mara, you must be mistaken. Nothing like that is here. Mara's eyes were serious. I'm not lying. I'm worried. The colony might find out. They don't like secrets. Ben knew she was right. The colony feared anything strange or unknown, but he never expected his own neighbor to betray him. That night, Ben and Ray sat quietly, feeling the weight of Mara's words. Why would she tell? Ray asked softly. Ben shook his head. I don't know. Fear. Or maybe she thinks she's doing the right thing. Ray looked sad. I trusted others, but trust is fragile. Ben reached for her hand. We'll be careful. The next morning, colony patrols arrived near Ben's dome. Heavy walkers moved through the red dust. Scanning every inch, Ben stood. At the door, trying to hide his fear. Ray stayed behind, glowing softly, ready to help if needed. Two officers approached. Ben, one said, We received a report about unauthorized energy use here. We need to inspect your dome. Ben nodded slowly. Of course, please come inside. They entered and scanned the area. The officers exchanged looks but found no clear evidence. Ben's shield jammer seemed to work, but one officer pulled out. A small device, a scanner designed to detect bioenergy signatures, dotted beeped softly near Ray. Who is this? The officer asked sharply. Ben stepped forward. She is a guest, a friend. The officers were not convinced. We have orders to detain any alien life forms for questioning. The other said. Ben's heart raced. Please. She is injured and needs care. She is not a threat. But the officers were firm. They reached for Ray. Ray's eyes widened. Her glow flared bright and strong. No, she said firmly. I will not go. Suddenly, a wave of energy burst from her hands. It was not violent, but strong enough to push the officers back. Ben grabbed Ray's arm. Stop. Don't hurt them. She looked at him, torn between fear and defense. The officers recovered quickly and called for backup. Ben knew this was the moment. They had to run. In a flash, Ben opened a hidden panel and pulled out a small device. This will disable the patrol's comms for a few minutes, he said. Ray nodded, trusting him. Ben pressed the button. The patrol's radios went silent. Now, Ben said. They slipped out through a side door and ran toward the rocky hills beyond the dome. The dust rose behind them as patrol walkers scrambled to recover. Ben and Ray ran without looking back. Ray's light pulsed fast, lighting their path through the rocky terrain. After a long climb, they reached a small cave, the place Ben had prepared earlier. Inside, the air was cool and dark. No scanners worked here. Ben lit a small lamp. We're safe. For now, he said, breathing hard. Ray sat on a smooth stone. Her light dim but steady. I'm sorry. She said, I brought danger. Ben shook his head. No, we face it together. Days passed in the cave. They shared stories, memories, and hopes. Ray explained more about her people, their culture of light, their love for peace, and the wars that had destroyed their home. Ben told her about Earth, about humans who had fought for survival, and about his quiet life on Mars. They grew closer, bound by their shared fears and dreams. One night, as they rested, a soft sound echoed in the cave. Ben raised his head. Footsteps. Someone's coming, he whispered. Ray's glow flared bright again. Two colony scouts entered the cave, shining their lights. Stop, one shouted. You're under arrest? Ben stood protectively in front of Ray. We won't hurt you, he said. Please, listen. The scouts hesitated but kept their weapons ready. Ray stepped forward, calm but firm. I do not wish to fight, she said, but I will defend life. The scouts lowered their weapons slightly. Ben took a deep breath. Let's talk, please. To Ben's surprise, the scouts listened. He told them about Ray's journey, her powers, and the bond they shared. He spoke of trust, hope, and the need for peace between species. The scouts looked at each other, unsure. One said, We have orders, but maybe there is another way. The other nodded slowly. Ben and Ray left the cave with the scouts. Back at the colony, something had changed. The council agreed to listen. Ray was given a chance to speak. She told her story of loss, survival, and hope. The colony began to understand. Ben and Ray's bond became a symbol of light in dark times, though the road ahead was still hard. They walked it together. Their life bond was not just a promise, it was a new beginning. The air in the colony's main hall was tense. People gathered, whispering and watching as Ray stood beside Ben. The room was filled with curious faces, humans and a few other species, waiting to see what would happen next. Ben felt the weight of every eye on him. He squeezed Ray's hand. Gently, her glowing skin pulsed softly in response. A tall man in a dark uniform stepped forward. He was the colony's chief commander, a stern man with cold eyes. "We have received reports of unauthorized energy use and harboring an alien life form," the commander said firmly. "This is a serious breach of colony security." Ben raised his voice. "Ray is not a threat. She is a refugee fleeing war and death. She came here seeking safety, just like we all do." The commander shook his head. "Orders are orders. She must be detained for questioning and containment." Ray stepped forward, her light glowing brighter. "I do not want to fight. I seek peace." The room fell silent. Ben took a deep breath. "Let me speak. Let me tell you why Ray is special, not dangerous." He told the crowd about Ray's powers, the healing, the light, and the bond they shared. He spoke from the heart about trust and hope, about what it meant to be connected in life and spirit. "Humans have always faced fear of the unknown," Ben said. "But sometimes that fear stops us from seeing what's good. Ray shows us that light can come from the darkest places." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Some nodded. Others looked uncertain. Suddenly, the lights in the hall flickered. The drones outside began to swarm. Ben's heart raced. The colony's security forces were moving in fast. Ben grabbed Ray's hand. "We don't have much time." Ray's glow flared. "I will protect you." Ben nodded. Together, they moved toward the exit as the commander called out, "Stop them!" Outside, the red dust swirled as armed patrols surrounded them. Ray raised her hands, and a golden shield of light spread around them. The patrol's weapons fired, but the energy barrier absorbed every shot. Ben watched in awe as Ray's light pulsed stronger and stronger. "This is your home," Ben shouted to the crowd that had gathered. "Don't be afraid of hope." The shield expanded, pushing back the patrols. Then, Ray reached out and touched Ben's chest. Her light flowed between them, a connection stronger than before. Ben felt warmth flood his body. His fear and doubt melted away. Together, their light shone brighter than ever. The patrols hesitated, lowering their weapons. Some people stepped forward, joining Ben and Ray. "We stand with you," a voice called. One by one, others joined. Soon, a crowd surrounded the pair, their faces filled with courage and hope. The commander lowered his head, realizing the tide had turned. Days later, the colony held a special meeting. The council voted to recognize Ray as a refugee and to study her powers not as a threat, but as a gift. Ben and Ray became symbols of change, a new future, where humans and aliens could live together in peace. At night, Ben and Ray stood outside the dome, watching the stars. "Do you think they will accept us?" Ben asked. Ray smiled, her light gentle. "They are learning. Light grows in darkness." Ben took her hand. "I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we have our bond." Her glow brightened. "I am radiant because of you." They looked up at the sky of promise shining above them. The colony was changing. Once filled with fear and suspicion, it now buzzed with hope and curiosity. News of Ray's stories spread quickly. People from all corners of the settlement came to see her, the alien who glowed with light and healed wounds, the woman who called Ben her mate, and the man who stood by her side no matter what. Ben and Ray stood together on the highest hill near the colony, looking out over the red plains. "It feels different now," Ben said, his voice soft. Ray smiled, her skin shining with a warm glow. "Yes, hope grows." The settlement below was alive with activity. New buildings were rising, designed to welcome more refugees from distant worlds. Scientists studied Ray's powers carefully, eager to understand the light that healed and protected. One day, a small ship arrived. It was old and worn, but inside were more survivors, others who had escaped the destruction of their homes. Ben helped guide them to safety, while Ray used her healing light to comfort the frightened travelers. Among the new arrivals was a young girl with bright eyes and curious fingers. She looked up at Ray and whispered, "Is she a star?" Ray knelt beside her and smiled. "Yes, little one, a star that shines for all." Ben watched the scene, pride filling his heart. This was more than survival. This was a new beginning. But the journey was not easy. Not everyone welcomed the changes. Some in the colony still feared the unknown. They whispered of dangers, of powers they could not control. One evening, Ben stood before a group of worried citizens. "We cannot let fear divide us," he said. "Ray's light shows us that differences can make us stronger. Together, we can build a future where all life is safe." The crowd was silent for a moment. Then, slowly, hands began to rise in agreement. Ray and Ben's bond grew stronger with each passing day. They learned from each other about Earth and her lost world, about light and hope. One quiet night, as the twin moons rose over the colony, Ray spoke softly. "In my world, life bond means more than connection. It means responsibility to protect, to guide, to love." Ben took her hand. "I promise to walk this path with you." Her glow brightened. "And I promise to be your light." Together, they led the colony into a new era. Humans and aliens worked side by side, sharing knowledge and dreams. The scars of the past began to heal, replaced by trust and friendship. Ray's light became a symbol, a beacon of unity. Years later, children played under the glowing skies. They told stories of the radiant woman and the man who gave her shelter, of how their bond changed the world. Ben and Ray watched, smiling. Their journey had not been easy, but it was theirs. Together, they had sparked a light that would never fade. End of part 7.